thoughts that are very negative, destructive, will almost like wash over you like a wave. And now he knows what's going on. He saw this thing in his astral vision rise up out of himself and look in his face one night. Very dark. And the ones around him that torture him every night also will put energy into the thing to try to help it grow. If you don't know, every major political, moneyed, power person on this planet has one inside of them, almost virtually every one of them. I don't know if they're conscious of it, but I can hear it in their reversals. It comes out right away.
You also mentioned you had a niece who had suicidal tendencies,
yes.
And that was also related to this reptilian phenomenon.
Yes, I recorded with her. She was a cutter, cutting herself, and then she also tried to commit suicide. And beautiful. She's always been very, very psychic. As a matter of fact, she sees dead people, just like the Sixth Sense movie. And I would have thought, well, maybe she's just exaggerating. She's about 16. But she saw Francis, who had traveled with me years ago, because he was always hanging around me. And as soon as she said that, I knew she was for real. But during this time, they would give her nightmares, they would talk to her, get her, all these negative things, scare her, and she tried to commit suicide. And when we recorded together, when I was out there a year and a half ago, we were recording, and the reptilian speaking on the tape said, "We made you cut. We wanted you to commit suicide." And that was a big wake-up call for her, because she realized this was not her. This was her being influenced by them.
You also feel that your husband Nick is not of the earth originally, that he is of Syrian descent.
I said that in reverse. That's the only reason I know.
And how about yourself? Do you feel kinship with the Pleiadians? Or?
Yes. I wouldn't have. I mean, I never was into, I'm special, I'm Pleiadian. I'd heard a lot of that on the TV show we had done, and I was like, get a life, But back when the reptilians first started showing up, they kept calling me the Pleiadian, and I kept hearing it over and over again, and it was coming up all the time. And then I heard from the Pleiadians for a short time. They were able to talk to me, and then I knew it was true. And I would say there are lots of Pleiadians here. There are lots. If I would say anybody who would be interested enough to watch a program or to something like this project probably is not from here, and probably Pleiadian.
You say also a lot of the people that are pursuing knowledge of this sort are often in financial binds. You have a lot of friends in financial binds. How does that play into this whole scenario? Why is that? Because
they've created debt. They've created this whole money system, and it's wrong. It's wrong. Look at this planet. It is wrong. So it's not easy. I mean, it's not hard to see how people who are not into the money thing, are probably going to be poor unless you're willing to compromise. And I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying generally speaking, money is not easy. In spite of the New Age, people who say just think about it and it's yours. I don't think it's that simple anymore. I used to think you could just create it by thoughts, but I don't believe that anymore.
Now, you started in all the interviews that you did on UFOZ, you talked to so many of the brightest and best people in the metaphysical and UFO fields. I remember at one time Jim and you and myself put a show together. And I'm thinking I'm going to turn this over to Peggy Kane, and she's going to be talking about reptilians. Peggy?
Thanks, Jim. Hi. I guess reptiles have fascinated and intrigued and repulsed.
Now, what kind of led you to the point involved in reverse speech, and then or EVP, and then from there into reverse speech?
I was interested in EVP for a long time. I'd heard about people doing this.
And what does EVP stand for?
It's electronic voice phenomena. It's capturing spirit voices on digital and tape recorders. And I found that really interesting, and I decided I was going to try to do this. And for 3 months, I never heard anything. And then,
well, where did you first hear about it?
well, years ago, I was on like a sighting show. I think that was the first time I'd heard anything. People would go out to like the Confederate cemeteries or different places and pick up voices, and I always thought that was very interesting. But I wanted to take it to a new level. I thought, well, I would like to really speak to spirit guides, extraterrestrials. Didn't know what I was getting into. Angels. I didn't want to just talk to dead people. I really wanted more, but it took me in a whole other direction.
Now, you've been listening to EVP for a lot of years now, 4 years plus, at least 3 to 6 hours a day, you said.
Mm-hmm.
How many recorders do you have?
One time I had 10. I've worn a couple of them out. I keep breaking them because I use them so much.
And why were you so determined to talk to your loved ones, the spirit guides, the angels, and those of higher consciousness?
Oh, it just was the neatest thing. I just thought I wanted to get it. I've done so many interviews with people telling me what they think. I wanted to go right to the source. I wanted to talk to a person on the other side, or an angel, or a spirit guide, and say, now or an ET. Okay, now let's hear it right from you.
And so why did you join the American Association for EVP, and how did you get set up at that time?
Well, it's on, they have a website and an e-group, and I just joined it, and I wanted to get their feedback, and they helped me with the technical parts of it, and then and it was a lot of camaraderie and people sending their EVP files and all that. So
now back to those first 3 months, what were your early experiments in EVP like?
Well, for 3 months I didn't hear a thing, and then I heard my name, which I almost jumped out of my skin, and I was running around, playing this for everybody. Listen, what are you doing? And then I got the old Panasonic RRDR60 digital tape recorder, which was very noisy, and you can pick up, because of the internal noise. See, spirits need a venue, a sound to create speech. And this had a lot of noise in this recorder. It's really a terrible recorder, but very noisy. And that's when I first started hearing from Francis.
Now, early on you spoke with elementals, you spoke with the tree, you even spoke with the earth spirit itself. What was that not
That was
accurate?
all Francis.
That was all
pretending
Francis.
to be an elementical, he called it. It's like, why are they calling it? It was Francis. He was jerking me around.
We'll get to Francis there in a second. Were your friends concerned about your mental well-being?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What were they saying to you?
She's really lost it now. She's talking to trees, and they're talking back. But anybody could hear it. It wasn't like it was just in my head. I mean, this was audible. But
she was so excited.
I was just beside myself. And then when I spoke to the earth, and she told me that she was suffering so, and it's such excruciating pain, and I wept. I mean, it was a very emotional thing, and my friends all thought I was really going to have a breakdown or something. They were very concerned.
And what convinced them that you were okay?
I still don't think they're convinced. No. I'm trying to be more normal.
How did you begin to talk with a passed over spirit named Francis Haley?
Well, he was the one talking from the beginning. He lived here. He lived right around here. They live in houses, just in another frequency. And when I went back and reversed him after being jerked around for about 7 or 8 months, 9 months, I could hear where in reverse I knew all along that he was just pretending and he was being a jerk, and I kept trying to tell myself in reverse. And in reverse I could hear him in real time. We would talk back and forth. I would call him a jerk, and it was really interesting. And then, he would, it was mind-blowing. That's why I really said, if you don't reverse, you'll never know. You can reverse and listen, because all EVP is reversible, all of it.
So in the beginning stages of EVP, when you were a novice, he was playing on your gullibility.
Right.
And then you at one point had an exorcism to get rid of Francis and the other spirit people. You got so fed up with it.
Yes.
Tell me about that event.
Well, there were about 12 of us here, and we were all